Enjoy unlimited and uninterrupted internet broadband 24 hours daily for only $1,000. What? Yes, you heard me right. Subscribe now for only $1,000 and stay connected for a whole 2 weeks non-stop. For those of you on vacation, grab the opportunity to get in touch with your loved ones, family and friends while you're away. Rush now to any Gamcell outlet or call 111 to be part of this amazing promotion. Gamcell, yeah, bro.
Gamcell, let's talk.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm in London that can help you with all aspects of your legal work. If you are looking at immigrating to the United Kingdom, Stewart & Co. can help you to set up business, buy houses in the UK, and will deal with all your legal works from start to finish.
For all your general immigration work, we can help you with that as well. If you're applying for any form of visa, whether student visas, settlement visas, marriage visas, or a child wanting to come to the United Kingdom to settle with the family, we can help you to achieve your goals.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm specializing in conveyancing, immigration, litigation, family law, personal injury, licensing, no win, no fee. Contact us today at www.sk-solicitors.com.
In today's world, everything imaginable is on the internet, which is amazing. And to find anything, it is easy. But that's not the case for Lami. His standard internet connection is frustratingly slow, unable to focus on important things in life. He can't stream a video or search anything. He is fed up with messages like address is not found, timeout connection, and Internet Explorer cannot find web page. That's when his friend Fatima introduces him to Gamtel. At Gamtel, we provide viable, cost-effective, and sustainable internet solutions to businesses and homes. With our nationwide fiber broadband connectivity through EcoOne Gambia project, you can now say goodbye to slow internet. We provide quality services, blazing speed, and amazing customer services. All these at affordable price. Be like Lami and start using Gamtel broadband internet today. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
Sophie meew la bu sell te neex baax na ci halal ak mag yépp am na calcium, iron, protein ak vitamine yu bari. Sophie full cream powder milk la am na 20 gram, 200 gram ak 400 gram ku ko ñam dootu ko bàyyi. Sophie, proudly Gambian.
tanal ma numba yi may tanal ma ba
kon yow li ma la jox ci xibaar yëpp doy la
jëlal ma numba rek gowma la
sëñ bi na nga def kii de dama ko jox xibaar gi ma dégg ci yéen
waaw la toggee
wax naa ko ne alxames bu nekk ak dimanche bu nekk dañ tànn juróomi nomba ci jackpot bi ku gagné juróomi nomba tegal nañ la xone dan plus 1000 maanaam téeméeri junne ak lu teg
waaw
waaye juróomi nomba yi dafa war a méngoo su fekkee ne amoo juróomi nomba yu méngoo am nga ñeenti nomba yu méngoo yow dinañ la jox bonus foo du noonu la
bonus foo
waaw des na de altine bu jot talaata àllarba ak àjjuma ñu génne waat beneen jackpot ne ku gi am ñeenti nomba yu lëkkaloo ñu tegal la $50,000 maanaam juróom fukki junni waaye nag gis nga boo amee ñetta yu méngoo ñu jox la tam bonus tri waaye nag xàmmee ko gis nga Gambia géem yi bari nañ de waaye gis nga bii green la xàmmee ko waaw xàmmee ko bu baax a baax feneen foo taxa bul fii di nga perte
lu ma la wax yëpp dëgg la
waaye xam nga lu ma lay xamal ma wax nga naan waaw dëgg la kay yow mi sa kanam guddi gi xam nga ne góoma la da ngeen may koppaloo man ngeen di koppal nañ dem ci office
xanaa nërmelu nga
ma ne nee naa nga lañ laa wax
nee naa la ku ko mën la ku koy jéem duñu benn ak loto game ak ay bonus sama xéwalam yu bari fii rek la du feneen.
Can't do small or big projects with the same dedication and commitment as we do. With a reputation as the leading printing company in the country, when it comes to major projects and innovative solutions, we always deliver in high quality thus receiving the trust and confidence of our clients. From the moment your order is placed to when it is delivered, we believe in exceeding expectations from the sales manager to the production team, the account manager, and the person delivering your material. We have state-of-the-art equipment and a highly experienced and competent workforce that enables us to deliver top-quality work on time. At reasonable prices, we provide our clients with multiple solutions right from conceptualizing, designing, printing, binding, publishing, and distribution. For all your printing requirements, we are strategically located at the Sankumsila Highway, the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation. We print what you desire.
The Gambia Revenue Authority wishes to inform the general public that income earned from the letting or leasing of property is taxable as per the Income and Value Added Tax Act 2012. In this regard, the general public is hereby informed that payment of rental income tax is an obligation on any person who earns income from letting or leasing properties. All rental income earned from properties in the Gambia is subjected to rental income tax. There are two types of rental income tax: a residential rental income tax charged at the rate of 8% of gross rent received. Commercial rental income charged at the rate of 10% of gross rent received. It is important to note that failure to declare and pay rental income tax is illegal and punishable under the Income and Value Added Tax Act 2012. To pay your rental income tax, rush to the nearest GRA domestic tax office or any of GRA's designated banks. Remember to pay your taxes and on time. GRA
Vastal Properties, the dynamic and most trusted agency in real estate and property management.
We are here to make housing affordable, accessible for every Gambian, despite their financial status.
What makes Universal outstanding in the market is our flexible payment plans.
We set standards in sales and letting of quality properties, mortgage, leasing, rentals, property valuation, construction, and many more.
All our sites are fitted with social amenities such as schools, water, electricity, praying ground, and a good road network. In Sukuta Phase 1 and 2, Jambanjeli, Sanyang, Brikama, Lamin Daranka, and Gunjur coming up soon.
Doing business with Universal Properties, it's a very wonderful experience.
Universal Properties, FIB House, Caraba Avenue.
For us, every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.
Do you want the best in office supplies? Do you want value for money? Then look no further. Vital Trading Limited is here for you. Vital Trading Limited is the best in town when it comes to office supplies and all your printing needs. We brand, rebrand, design and print logos, flyers, caps, pens, 3D signboards, neon signboards, envelopes, and many more. We also have bank coin counters, bank note counters, fire protect safes, just to name a few. At Vital Trading Limited, satisfaction is guaranteed and we deliver on time. Visit our office today on the Bertel Harding Highway, opposite the GNPC petrol station. Better still, call us on 4498756, 4498962. Visit our website today, www.vitaltradinglimited.com. Want the best in all your office supplies and printing needs? Then come to Vital Trading Limited.
What?
Come in. Hello.
Hey.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Yes, I'm really good.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of KERR FATOU. Tonight I have the pleasure of having the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, General Masanneh Kinteh. I told the guys out there we are occupying the GAF headquarters tonight. KERR FATOU is about talking to our officials, what they are up to, and I think the Army is a very important component in our democracy. The Gambian Army have been branded a certain way over the years, and tonight I think is the opportunity for the Chief of Defense Staff to clear some doubts and also talk to us about the reforms and other agendas that the Army is taking up on. And I have the great pleasure to also say tonight my co-host Dadinjai is on a mission to the US and Oli is busy at work. So I have the pleasure of having my sister, Manina Dambel. I'm sure you all know her, all the way from UK, and she's here as my special guest host. Manina, welcome to KERR FATOU.
Thank you so much for having me, Fatou. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here, and especially the topic that we're going to be covering today. So first of all, let me say good evening to the viewers, and especially the ones that are in the diaspora.
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm representing them today.
Yes.
So thank you so much for having me, and also to be a part of this topic. Because if I could remember when the impasse happened, people in the diaspora were so worried. Most of us did not sleep. So it's good for us to have this discussion, talk about the security in the Gambia, reassure people like you just said. So it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good show.
Absolutely.
And CDS Kinteh, welcome to KERR FATOU.
Well, thank you very much, Fatou, for having me on the show. And let me take this opportunity to welcome you and your team on behalf of the officers, men and women of the Gambia Armed Forces to Defense Headquarters.
But to the Gambian people and those out there, who is General Masanneh Kinteh?
Well, General Masanneh Kinteh grew up in a small village in the lower river region of the country, Sankuya, precisely.
Jara.
Jara, yes. And attended school at Pakalinding Primary School, then came to Muslim High School and to Gambia High School before I left and joined the teaching field. I spent 2 years teaching at various schools. My main areas of subject areas of teaching were mathematics, science. I was a science student before I enlisted into the Gambia Armed Forces in 1990. Following that, it's been military.
From 1990?
From 1990.
And you rose from the ranks to where? From?
Yes, I rose through the ranks. I was commissioned as a second lieutenant after finishing my training as a cadet at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, and got promoted to a lieutenant 2 years after that. And then, yeah, I got promoted to captain, then major. So it's been like that
up to CDS in 2009.
2009, that's correct.
Yes, in 2012, from 2009 to 2012, you have been the CDS of the Gambia Armed Forces. In 2012, you were removed. What was the reason given for your removal?
Well, there was no reason given to me for my removal. All what I know was that I was on a countrywide tour on a Friday afternoon, and I got a call from the Minister of Defense that I should suspend my tour and report with my entire team to the defense headquarters. So I complied, came to defense headquarters, and I was handed my letter of relief of duty as Chief of Defense Staff and redeployed to the Foreign Service. Yes.
Redeployed to the Foreign Service until that famous December 1st election, when the Gambians changed government through election. And then you were recalled by the current president as National Security Advisor, and of course subsequently to a CDS of the same position that you occupied before. During the impasse, though, I want us to come there. During the impasse, you were not in the country, you were away. But what is your assessment of the role the Gambian army played?
Well, the role Gambia armed forces played in the impasse, has been mostly very positive and very constructive in the whole process of, conflict resolution. I agree with many critics, who have found a few of our personnel wanting, in their responsibility. And of course, at a point when the whole nation decided that they voted in a new president, I think the entire country should have followed suit, including the armed forces. But we had some few elements of the armed forces, who were still in denial of the verdict of the Gambian people. So that was rather unfortunate. But I can tell you, to assess the whole thing from a professional perspective, I think the comportment of the armed forces was very good, in terms of the way they were able to ensure that the country is kept intact, the way they were able to ensure that peace and stability, remains in this country, and the way they were able to usher in the ECOMIG as a force.
A lot of people will disagree with you on that, though. If they really, really showed leadership, would we have been here? We would not have got an external intervention, CDS. Yeah. That's what a lot of people said, and that's the notion out there. The army failed us. The army failed us in 1970. The army failed us in 1981. The army failed us in 1994 and 2017. Can we really trust the Gambia Armed Forces?
I think the problem that we had in the Gambia was not a military problem. The problem we had in the Gambia was a political problem. And political problems needed political solutions. We had an election where the Gambian people voted, for the opposition. Yeah. And the results were declared. And from that point on, it was supposed to be a foregone conclusion. What was supposed to have happened was to facilitate a smooth transition of power from the outgoing regime to the current regime.
But for most people, it was just one individual, and there was an army around him. So it felt like the army were in support of what was going on, so we had to have external people to come in and sort of negotiate. Do you think it could have been done differently? Is it because the army, they don't have that much influence when it comes to the president of the country?
No, I mean, we all know the type of leader that we had at the time, all right? And then the armed forces, has a role in ensuring that the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of this country is defended. That is a constitutional role that, they have to play. And in ensuring that they are loyal to the Gambian people, in ensuring that they keep peace and security in the country. But I've had, many people, calling for the army to intervene. There have been calls like that, yes, for even army to take a very active role in intervening, probably to even, stage a military coup, or, to jump into the political space. But I think, from my own professional assessment, I think that would have been a terrible mistake.
Yes.
Because that was going to divide the country, that was going to pit the armed forces against an opposition that has got an overwhelming political support and international support, of course. And that is going to push the army to the very limits. That situation would have been unpredictable, and I wouldn't encourage anybody in those kind of situations, to be able to, hijack political power.
At some point, the current president had to seek foreign security to protect him. When we had this internal security. I know it's not just the army, of course, the police as well. If you were in charge, though, would you had provided security? Because it's like that's where we felt like the army betrayed us, because if the president of the republic is being elected, this is the president-elect, the security should have stepped up, said, look, show some direction.
Yeah.
Because they were just stagnant at one place. There was no direction for us to say, okay, they are leaning towards this president.
Yeah, to show their loyalty.
If you were in charge, would you have taken that bold decision to show loyalty to
loyalty to country and not to an individual?
Of course, you show your loyalty to the people of the country.
Yes.
All right, to the country. This is what you swear to do.
Yeah.
All right. In that situation, obviously, you are bound to defend the constitution. You are bound to defend the will of the Gambian people. But what I disagree with is this idea of people, thinking that the armed forces should take the lead, or the armed forces should dictate the process.
Okay.
That is not the right thing to do. It is a political dispute. At the end of the day, the country, all the institutions were intact. All right, we had a process. The constitution was supposed to be
supreme, of course.
Supreme, and ensure that its provisions apply.
Absolutely.
And that process was on. That the resolution of that dispute was on. And that is why we had the sub-region involved.
Yeah, going on that as well,
Yes.
like you just said, the president had to leave, the president-elect at the time, he had to leave.
Okay.
People were scared, they weren't sure who the army was loyal to. Hence the reason why they had ECOMIG come into the country. What is ECOMIG's mandate? They've been here now since January last year. What is their mandate?
Well, ECOMIG was called into the scene as a decision of the collective wisdom of the political leaders in the sub-region. When they feel that the country was heading towards a direction that it was possible for an outbreak of armed conflict, there was a need for the interpositional force, the prevention, peace and security mechanism that was set in place to be able to deploy to ensure that that did not happen. And that is why ECOMIG was deployed. They were deployed with a mandate to ensure that they are able to restore constitutional order and maintain peace and stability in the country. That is at the heart of their mandate. And what was also made very specific as far as their mandate is concerned was to ensure that the government officials are all protected and the government machinery functions.
What would be your response to those who say the army personnel are being sidelined by the executive because ECOMIG is seen around the president and all the ministers, and this could cause some kind of frustration in the army, and people will feel like, oh, they don't trust us. They are being protected by the ECOMIG forces, and all they want is. Okay, don't you think that can cause some kind of confusion and having people creating some factions around? Security is very sensitive. How worried about that are you about that?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Let me start by saying that His Excellency the President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. And of course, he's also the Minister of Defense. What His Excellency has done is to ensure that the armed forces are provided with the leadership, the requisite leadership that they need to be able to find their bearing and direction. He has done that at the moment he was sworn into office. People who are saying that there is some sort of, or the army has been sidelined by the executive, I don't think this is true. The army has not been sidelined. We are in constant touch with the Office of the President, with the Minister of Defense, and all the programs of the armed forces are moving quite smoothly. I know we have ECOMIG in the country, and as part of their mandate, they are providing security to the presidency, and they, of course, that includes the vice president. You know, but again, that doesn't take the responsibility of ensuring the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of this country is protected by the sons and daughters of this country.
Okay, I'm just still coming on.
I just want to add that, you know, you see, to say that the executive does not care about or is sidelining the armed forces, you know, it's also untrue that we are in constant touch with His Excellency the President. We have direct access to His Excellency the President. And what used to happen in the past, we all know, during the previous regime, is this sort of direct political interference that the former president was making into the armed forces.
Yeah.
He will go behind the Chief of Defense Staff or even the unit commanders and speak to their subordinate commanders, give them instructions to carry out without the approval or even the knowledge of the Chief of Defense Staff. Yeah. Those kind of political interference, you know, should not happen in this new dispensation. Yeah. And the president made it very clear that he wants to have an armed force that is going to be apolitical. He wants to have an armed forces that is going to be focusing on their professional roles and functions and devoid of, you know, politics. So it is my responsibility as the Chief of Defense Staff to connect the presidency with the members of the Gambia Armed Forces. And that process is already on, and I can promise you in the coming days you are going to see a difference.
Okay. Still on ECOMIG, as a security expert, are you worried about our internal intelligence being known by foreigners? You know, today ECOMIG soldiers have access to all of our intelligence. Of course, the presidency, all our intelligence. Are you worried? Are you worried? Are you worried, even though we are a small country?
ECOMIG is here to fill the space in terms of securing the country. Of course, they will be privileged to certain information. They will be privileged to have inside knowledge of the country and our you know, some of the things that every sovereign state would want to, you know, hold to yourself. Yeah. You know, but again, that is because of the situation that we find ourselves. Yeah. You know, if you are confronted to make the choices, you know, you will have to, you know, take the lesser of the evil. You know, we were faced as a country, nobody knows what was going to happen. So, and this is not the first time ECOMIG is deployed in a sovereign state. Yeah. It happened in Liberia, I was there. I was there when Charles Taylor was being ushered out of that country. I was also, you know, part of the operations in Sierra Leone, you know, Ivory Coast and other places, you know. So this is not a new thing. And the way we look at internal security now and before is completely different. What is at the heart of our internal security now? These are issues which, you know, are transnational in nature. I would tell you most of the security challenges and threats that you have here is similar threats and challenges that you have in other countries within the sub-region. Because most of these things are multifaceted. They are, they are not bound by any political boundaries and things like that. So, you know, they are transnational in nature, and there is a lot of information sharing, even amongst the ECOWAS member states, you know, within the security cycle also.
Okay. One thing that I'd like to talk about, for us to talk about, is the reforms that you're going to be embarking on? Because you have mentioned that in a couple of days' time we'll see things would be changing and that sort of thing.
Sure.
So whilst ECOMIG is here, they're in charge of the security of the president and of course of national security.
Right.
What is the army doing whilst that is happening? Are we training the army? Are we trying to get them back integrated into, because for 22 years these people have been loyal to one person. All they know is what that person used to tell them, and they do that. How do we get them to be loyal to country and the leader?
Yes.
What sort of reforms are
that
you
is
working
at the
on?
very heart of our reforms. And yes, what is the army doing now? When we look at, if we assess the capacity of ECOMIG, they are only, you know, a little over about 450 that we have in the country, or about 500 that we have in the country. All right, so that is not enough to be able to, you know, undertake the entire security of the country. So we are looking at where we can, you know, where are the gaps and where we can fit in. And then we are also working in tandem with ECOMIG. You know, we are working, conducting joint patrols with them. So most of these responsibilities are shared responsibilities. But again, that has also given us the leverage to be able to embark on, you know, training at the unit level, at other formations that we have around the country who are not very much committed into, you know, those kind of security duties. So there is a lot of training activity that is going on. We have deployed a lot of mobile training teams, you know, that are training those units at their locations. But again, also as part of the wider reform, you are very right that the mindset of the Gambian soldier has to change.
Absolutely.
That the members of the Gambia Armed Forces, you know, should know that the military is subordinate to civil authority, and the military has the responsibility to serve the people of the country. This is a mindset change that we have begun, and the process is on. Yes, the wider reforms are yet to take off, you know, because the security sector reform project is very much at its you know, formative stage. You know, the documents have now been final.
Key areas in the reform document?
Yes, I am looking at each and every service. You have your own priorities, but I am looking at some priorities in the armed forces. You know, one of the priorities that we are looking at is how to improve our national security posture. You know, how to, you know, look at our deployments, how to address the security gaps and deficiencies that we have. You know, the past few months, you know, there have been a lot of reports, you know, on this armed robbery and stuff like that. I think those are, you know, issues that we can deal with. You know, we are looking at, you know, how we can secure our borders. We are also looking at how we can work with our partners in ensuring that, you know, the movement of certain transnational criminal activities, you know, including international terrorism, does not come to the source of this country. So these are all responsibilities and roles that we are looking at, and we are preparing, you know, ourselves, you know, for that. But in addition to that, also, you know, we are looking at, you know, how to build the capacity of other, you know, dormant parts of the Gambia Armed Forces that can contribute meaningfully to the socio-economic development of this country. We have what I call the sleeping giant in the armed forces, the Gambia Armed Forces engineers. We have a lot of expertise in the armed forces. At the moment, they don't have, you know, the necessary tools and equipment, you know, to be able to undertake certain, you know, works, you know. But I think, you know, if we revamp our engineers and, you know, we raise their standards in terms of, you know, their professional competence and provide them with equipment, they should be able to contribute in a meaningful way, you know, in the social economic development of this country. Additionally, we are also looking at how do we expand the peacekeeping capacity of the Gambia Armed Forces. It's one of the areas that we have been doing very well, you know, in the international arena. And the United Nations would be more than happy to partner the Gambia Armed Forces to be able to, get us deployed into peacekeeping, missions. Most of the time, what, normally stands on our way when we want to expand this project is the equipment and the sustainment of our forces in the mission area. As we speak today, our troops in Darfur, most of their major equipment are provided for them by the mission itself. The Gambia is losing a lot of, revenue, a lot of money in terms of not taking full advantage of, using your own equipment in the mission area. So we are trying to work with partners, ensuring that we enhance our capacity, in terms of, increasing our logistics and also, all the material support that you would need to be able to deploy a bigger force. Not just, today we have about 200 troops in Darfur. The Gambia has the potential to deploy more than 1,000 or even 2,000 soldiers, as it is happening in other countries, within the sub-region. And peacekeeping is also, a massive business venture, these days. Because all the participating, countries or troops, they are well paid by the United Nations. And everything that you put at the service of the United Nations, is reimbursed. So that is going to, at least relieve, the government some of the burden, the financial burden of maintaining the armed forces. We can look at our welfare issues. We can fix, some of the problems, that we have in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of, our logistics, and even, create some projects in the armed forces that can generate income, sustain the force, and be able to even support our families. So this is one area that I am looking at, revamping, and the other areas that we are looking at is how do we improve our logistics and the condition of the ordinary soldier. Most of our infrastructure are decaying. If you visit the barracks, some of the barracks, you would see the sort of conditions that the soldiers live, under. These are the things that we want to change. We want to make sure that, we build new structures that is going to accommodate, the soldiers in the barracks. If the soldiers are called to go to barracks, they should be given the amenities to be able to keep them in the barracks.
Yes, your surroundings.
The surrounding, the total environment, the ecosystem, has to be, balanced enough to be able to maintain, the normal life between work and rest. And recreation.
A lot of people say these are great reform agendas, which definitely will be very much welcome. When possibly implemented, will help a lot in strengthening the army. A lot of people also criticize you heavily for two things. One, you have reinstated so many armies, men back into the army. Some of them have not been in the system for 10 years, 5 years, 7 years. How do you know how capable these guys are again? And secondly, also, General Kinteh, people say there are so many loyal soldiers to the former president. And before you can achieve all these reform agendas, you have to start weeding the bad ones out of the good ones. If not, they can influence.
Well, thank you very much for that question. If you talk of the people that we are reinstating into the armed forces, what do you think is the number?
I don't know.
200, 300?
I don't even know.
Every
day we see new people.
No, it's even less than 100. From the time this new government came into power, until now, the number of people who have been reinstated into the armed forces is about 100.
About 100.
Nothing more.
But most of them are in very high
ranking. Some of them, yes. In fact, let me say only a very few.
Okay.
Are at high positions or even command positions. Because most of those people is the same as the civil service. All right.
Yeah.
We know what was happening in the past.
Yeah.
There were a lot of excesses, injustice, meted out to the workers, to the workforce. And that affected every organization in this country, including the armed forces. So if civil servants are being reinstated into their positions because they have been wrongfully terminated, don't you think that possibility doesn't also exist in the armed forces? Of course, we are reviewing each and every case.
Yes.
We have a board, a screening board in place. And we even have, we take it even to another level. Once we have done our internal screening, we also send those names to external, screening bodies that normally, conduct, those kind of background checks to make sure that.
Okay, so they're being screened.
Yeah, they have been
vetted.
vetted.
Perfect.
All right, and these are people, who, are serving in the armed forces. Of course, knowing that, where they're coming from and what have been their past experience. We are not just exposing them unduly to certain sort of responsibilities and functions. We are trying to also, see how best we can help them to resettle, how best we can help them to be able to reform. There are people who have, spent a long time in jail.
Have you had much interest of people who have never been in the army wanting to come and join the army, wanting to come and give back to the country?
That's
but what about the new people that are interested?
Yes, we have been careful not to just draft people into the armed forces as it was happening in the past. This is a problem that we have inherited. Today, most people are complaining that the figures of the armed forces are bloated, if you look at it. However, I always tie that to the security sector, reform assessment, to be able to know and determine the size of the armed forces. This will depend on the role of the armed forces. It will depend on the threat that we have as a country. It will also depend on our security environment.
So, but
that is what is going to, dictate. Yes, but we have put a check on recruitment. Especially drafting fresh people into the armed forces. We'll be looking at that. We are selecting, some few, some few capacity gaps that we have. In the medical sector, we have just recently recruited about 3 medical doctors. We are going to recruit some few lawyers and some few qualified teachers and educationists. We are looking at those areas, but we have not yet opened up for massive, recruitment as it used to be in the past.
What about the bad ones, though?
Yes, we are going to.
What are we doing with those?
Yes, we are going to deal with the bad ones. Trust me, we are going to deal with the bad ones.
It's been 1 year, though.
When you say we're going to
it's
deal
been 1
with
year, we have started doing something about that. Anybody who is whose continuous existence is believed to undermine national security of this country will not be allowed to serve in the armed forces.
Good.
We have our processes, and we have the system is looking at those areas. And I can tell you, we don't want to create any situation that is going to be inimical to the peace and stability in this country. We are not going to act on sentiments. We are not going to act on, frivolous reasons which are normally advanced by people. All right? We have to understand that as a country, all the institutions were working before the coming into being of this new system. So you cannot possibly dismantle the entire system and recreate. You will have to inherit, clean up what you have, and then reorient and refocus. And that has been the direction of the government, and this is what we are trying to follow. So there is a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of mind changing that has to be done, and we are doing that.
So have
but
you?
also we have started to also reach out to the general public as well, for them to understand, you know, the message that, you know, we take into account the feelings of the people.
Yes. Of course.
All right, we are engaging the people. We want people to give us information. We want not just to, you know, stand there and make some wild allegations against people of the armed forces or Jammeh loyalists or whatever. But if you have any information concerning any soldier, we want you to drop that information to us. We will investigate. If that is found to be
valid,
a true allegation,
you
know, that you know, somebody was involved in any abuse one way or the other, is going to be removed from the system.
But just to come back with the weeding out bit that you just mentioned, have you guys had to do any of that? Because it's been a year now.
Yes, we have.
Have you had people that you've had to weed out and get them out of the system because they're creating trouble?
There have been some, you know, few people that we think, you know, their continuous stay in the armed forces is undermining national security. And those people have been removed.
So the process is ongoing.
The process is on. There are people, you know, who have, you know, connive, you know, amongst, you know, themselves, you know, to be able to take some actions which will not be good for the peace and security of this country. We are dealing with those elements as well. You know, so it is an ongoing thing. It is very a difficult job to be able to, you know, look at somebody in the face and determine whether the person is loyal or
not loyal. Of course.
You know, so this is a very, very difficult thing. But if there is any, if we see any manifestation from anybody, you know, alleging your support to you know, any leader or any person, you know, and not the Gambian people, you don't have a place in the armed forces. Period.
Exactly. Yes.
General Kinteh, how strong is the Gambian intelligence, like the army? How strong is your intelligence? Because the reason why I say this, recently there have been so many rumors of external attacks, soldiers that are loyal to the former president grouping up to attack the country. But recently we have seen soldiers that traveled with the former president come into the country. They came through the airport, checked out, and went to their homes without being intercepted.
Questioned.
How did that happen?
How did that happen? We are yet to determine fully what actually happened. But just to tell you or share with you what I know, you know, is that there was a failure. There was a failure of security at the airport on that fateful day, because those kind of high-profile people should not have been allowed through our security checkpoint without bringing their presence in the country to the attention of the military authorities. These are high-profile military personnel who left with the former regime, and from all the indications, those who came in contact with them at the airport knows who they are. That's the unfortunate thing. But again, we have reviewed this as members of the Security Council, and we have taken full responsibility of the failure on that fateful day.
Okay.
And that has called our attention to reviewing the security arrangements that we have at the airport. So as I speak to you, that review is going on. A lot of changes have happened.
But have you guys spoken to those people to just get an idea of why they came back?
Yes, we have spoken to them.
Just get some intelligence.
Yes, we have spoken to them, and like I said, the investigations are, you know, still ongoing.
Okay.
What has been revealed so far is that these two people, they have no direct security threat to the country or the government of the day. This is what we are able to gather from them so far. We are still continuing with the investigations. I know there are a lot of people who are saying that, well, we shouldn't believe them. A lot of people are saying that. Yep. But again, in front of the courts and the law, it's not what you believe, it's what you can prove.
Yeah.
This is the situation.
But with your intelligence, with the Gambia Armed Forces, the intelligence that you would have gathered, you should know more than we do.
Yes, we are getting there. We are trying to find out exactly what happened. The investigations, like I said, is ongoing.
We have seen a lot of times we have spoken to the IGP, and I said most of the time we say, oh, we are investigating,
Exactly. Yeah.
So once you obviously you have just confirmed that it was a security failure.
Yeah, it was a security
failure. If once the investigations are over and some people are found wanted, are we going to see actions taken against them?
I agree with you in part, but again, yes. As a system, as a country, or as a government, of course, people have to be held accountable for their actions or their lack of thereof. So if somebody failed in your responsibility, yes, you should be held responsible for that. You should pay the price for that. So, if the investigation revealed that the failure comes from any person, for that matter, should face the music. Of course, yeah, that's what is expected.
I just wanted to ask one question, because I've noticed that there has not been as much army presence in the streets. And I know, like the past years, Gambians, we used to have this fear factor of the army, whereby we're scared to do certain things, people who want to, break the law or whatever else. There's this incident, lots of incidents that have been happening. You have spoken about the armed robbery, this woman that got killed in Kololi. I think she was in the salon or something like that. Do you think that the army needs to work closely with the police, not to instill fear, but to make sure that people feel safe in their homes, to make sure that people feel safe at work? Because there hasn't been, I know it's like you've withdrawn. How do we get the presence out there without having to make people feel a bit scared? How do you integrate with the society again and make us safe again?
Okay. Well, that is a very good question. And already we have started discussing this particular issue. And we are, like I said, reviewing the security situation. You see, all security institutions, the way I see them, they are just tools in your toolbox. The army, the police, the fire and ambulance service, the immigration, and so on and so forth. So, if you need a particular tool to be able to respond to a particular situation, I know we have our clear, mandates, and defined roles and functions. But again, there are things that we should be able to do jointly. And even our mandates also allow us to be able to work together in some situations. I believe there would be a need at some point, for us to re-strategize our security arrangement. But that is going to be a call to be made by the Gambian people. It is not just the military taking things into their own hands, because we don't want to be seen as if we are trying to impose
No.
anything on the people. All right. If the people so desire that their security cannot be guaranteed with the current arrangement, then that has to be revisited. And then if there is a need for a joint effort to be employed in ensuring that that security can be guaranteed to the people, then that should be done. I think security should be about the people.
So
it should be people-centered.
I'm a bit, when you say the people have to, like, we need to, what do we need to do as the people? What do the people have to do? Because I feel like if there is a security breach that's been happening, and the police are finding it difficult, because apparently when that woman died, it took ages before they came or whatever. Are we going to give is the army going to give them support straight away and not have to wait for the people to decide what it is that needs to be done?
I think generally, let me just come in here, like, just to buttress what you say. I think generally, like, nowadays, what is being observed is that people are not scared of the security anymore. Secondly, also, like, the role the army played in certain areas. We had Kanilai. There was an incident in Kanilai. The army were there with ECOMIG. Someone died. There was an incident in Busumbala. The police could not contain the crowd. The army were deployed. There were reports that tear gas was used on the people. Like, it seems like, can the army really control the Gambians?
Yes, this particular incident that you are talking about,
Kanilai and Busumbala,
the Kanilai incident, I know the army was involved.
Yeah.
Yes, but we have to work jointly as a security, security entity or security forces. Yeah. It's not about the army or the police or the intelligence. All right. We are looking at the security, in its totality. Yeah. All right, and of course that includes all the players. All right. You see, saying that the police, they don't, or the people don't, they are not scared of the army, or they are not scared of the police, or they are not scared of this force or that force. I think that is not very, very helpful in my view. I think what we should be promoting, is this sort of relationship.
Yes.
That is going to, facilitate, good, coexistence, between the security family and of course the rest of the population.
Yeah.
I think that is a responsibility that we all have to.
Absolutely.
We all have a part to play. Because there is no point, in putting the security in a bad light, or the security is not, been appreciated by the population.
What I'm trying to say here is, when people felt like the security was being politicized, and now that this is a regime change, like the perception, it's going to take the army to help to work with us to build that confidence.
Exactly,
to be the people's army.
That's exactly
not the one-man army, but to be the people's army.
Exactly, that's where I'm coming from, and that is why this dialogue is very, very important.
Yes.
All right, and that is why it is important for us to make some deliberate efforts as a country.
Yes.
All right, to be able to educate ourselves on the roles and functions of each and every institution, including all the security institutions. Because it is not about people getting scared of a particular group or the other. All right, it is about maintaining security for the majority or for the common good of the country, of the population. It is about that. And you don't want the situation where people will see a security as an element of terror or fear or something you have to be intimidated. We want security, especially a soldier, to be seen as a symbol and embodiment of protection,
yes,
an
of
embodiment sanctuary, somewhere or something that you can run to, and you think, my life is going to be safe or my life is going to be protected.
Yes.
These are difficult times.
Yes.
These are really challenging times as a country. Yeah. And I said this in one of the press conferences that I held just recently. We have come a long way. Yeah. If you want to tell me, or if you want to ask me as a security professional to give you my own assessment of the security situation of the country, I would tell you we are better off in 2016 or in 2017 than 2016. And the security will get better as a country, and looking at the threats out there. Yeah. The security will get better, I am pretty sure, in 2018 because we are improving on the security. What is challenging us is the political environment. Yeah. That is a real challenge. Yeah. And unless we start to go back to drawing board as a country and look at these issues in their totality. Look at the political environment. Look at what we can do to be able to foster dialogue, national reconciliation, and cohesion, amongst the population. Then we have a long way to go. We have to do this. We have to come up with national projects that is going to aim to be able to facilitate this dialogue amongst the people, so that it's not going to be one group pitching against the other. This puts security in a very, very funny and difficult situation. And that has been the challenge. All these incidents that you are talking about, these are not really clear-cut conventional security issues.
Yeah. Finally, General Kinteh. Now, what assuring message? I mean seriously, what assuring message do you want to give the Gambians? People are worried. We are scared. Every day we hear they are grouping in Casamas. They are attacking us. What kind of assuring message do you want to give the Gambian people that are watching you right now?
Okay. I want to tell the Gambian people that the country is safe. And I also want to assure them that we will do whatever it takes as members of the Gambia Armed Forces to be able to defend this country. We have sworn to defend this country, and will defend this country. We would need the cooperation and the support of each and every member of the population. We would need to work together to be able to foster a good civil-military relations, or let me say, a good civil security relations, because we need that in our country. We need to make sure that we see the positive aspects, in one another. There are very good things about the armed forces. There are very good things about the men and women I led in this country. And they are doing a tremendous job in almost all the places that they are assigned to be. There are genuine and sincere people in the armed forces. And we would want to encourage each and every one of our members to be able to take the national interests above your personal interests, to be able to see that the people that you are protecting are the people who have trust in you. They have bought that uniform for you. They have bought that weapon for you. And these are the people that you need to respect. These are the people that you need to protect. That is your duty as a soldier.
Thank you very much, General Kinteh. Yeah. Maniya, what's going to be your final message?
For me, I personally feel like I have been reassured. For someone who lives in the diaspora, for someone who comes to Gambia and lives here 6 months and see what the security is like, national security is as important for us because we have family here, we have our mums, husbands or brothers, and so it's important to have this sort of conversation so people are reassured, so we don't go back to what we had before. So we feel like the country is really, really secure. I wished we could have given it a timeline and say by 20-something, this is what's going to happen. I wish we had that. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Fatou, for having me. And it's been a pleasure. Absolutely. So thank you, General Kinteh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fatou, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mania. And definitely I want to thank General Kinteh and his team for putting this together in a very short notice. So many people have said how this guy, way back in 2009, have been an exemplary army, have been somebody who has always been committed to country, and some of us who have worked with him in the past have noticed that and have known that, and that's why when he was appointed, so many people said, I think today the army is in safe hands. We want to thank you for your service, General Kinteh, and definitely we want to thank the army. We want to thank you for your service, for keeping us safe when we go to bed. Absolutely. Even though there are so many hitches out there, but we know that the country is safe. Just as he said, the country is safe today than we were in 2006 or 2005. So we want to thank you for your time, and we want to thank Boop and the entire team for putting us together and having this interview in a short time. Thank you so much, and good night to you all. See you next week.